Hi dudes, my name is Cecilia and welcome to my kitchen here in Stockholm, Sweden. Today we are making walnut buns, VALNÖTSBULLAR. I'm gonna try to do our normal buns, which if you've seen literally any of my videos, you know I make these buns all the time with the same bun dough recipe, and it's fun. I love it, it's great, but we're mixing things up today. We're having some fun. We're doing things differently. Let's go get started.
Into the bowl of your stand mixer, pour 100 grams of warm water. Add in 23 grams of dried yeast, a pinch of sugar, and stir those together. Let sit for 5 to 10 minutes just to make sure the yeast is active. Then add in 400 grams of buttermilk, 1100 grams of flour, 200 grams of sugar, 15 grams of salt, 23 grams of ground cardamom, and 200 grams of room temperature butter. Place that on the stand mixer using the hook attachment and mix for 5 minutes on slow speed, just to let the dough come together. After 5 minutes, scrape the sides and mix the dough on medium slow.
This has been mixing for an hour. I'm not even gonna test this dough. If it's not done now, it never will be. We're calling it good enough. Usually it takes 45 minutes in the machine because my poor little baby Kenwood here is quite weak. But for the shape that I have in mind, I wanna make sure that the dough is really elastic, so I gave it an extra 15 minutes. And if it's not done by now and not elastic enough, like, I give up. I think it's gonna be really nice though. I'm gonna wrap in plastic wrap so we don't get any dry spots. And you want the piece of dough to just be like rectangular-ish and thin-ish, just so when we put it in the fridge, it chills more evenly. And today we're not even gonna chill it for that long. I kind of want my dough to be on the warmer side, on the more relaxed side than normal, just because, again, the shape that I want to do, I need a little bit more floppiness. Into the fridge we go. While the dough is resting, we are going to make our filling.
300 grams of softened butter, 200 grams of sugar, 50 grams of brown sugar, 3 grams of salt, 3 grams of vanilla sugar, 1 gram of allspice, 1 gram of cloves, 1 gram of nutmeg, and 3 grams of cinnamon get mixed together until there are no streaks of spice or sugar left. Place that to the side. Do not refrigerate, just let it sit there until it's ready to use. After about half an hour, take the dough out of the fridge. Sprinkle on some flour and see how floppy it is? This is what I wanted. Begin rolling it out. Make sure to flour as needed. You can be pretty heavy-handed. Roll out the dough until it is a large rectangle of even thickness. Spread all the filling evenly over the entire piece of dough. Take some lightly toasted walnuts and crush them between your hands. Sprinkle the crushed walnuts over the dough. You could of course chop these, but I like crushing them because I like the uneven sized pieces. Gently press the walnuts into the dough and then fold the top half down. Adjust as needed, then press the dough together, getting rid of any bubbles as you go. Sprinkle with flour and then roll out until it's one nice long piece. Grab your scale and a large knife and cut strips out of the dough. Each strip should weigh between 80 and 90 grams. Gently pick up your pieces and place them to the side. Grab some metal sheet trays and some sill pads or pieces of parchment and line each tray, then set to the side. Take a piece of dough and gently stretch it. Twist until you've formed a rope of dough and then take the end and curl it in, creating a little snail. Tuck in the tail and boom, there you go. I want my buns to be almost rectangular, so I'm putting them on a tray fairly tight. If you don't want them to touch, just put 9 on a tray.
I love having exactly 2 left over. They're just gonna be by themselves over here. Normally, I do plastic wrap over the top. That is my preferred method, but we're trying to be a little bit more eco-friendly here. So we have damp dish towels. These need to be clean, damp dish towels. I feel like that's common sense, but just so it's said. And we just wanna drape it over the top. My trays have edges, which I think is nice because then they're kind of like not sitting and pressing down on the buns at all because they get kind of heavy when they're damp. There we go. Put all the babies to bed, and then we'll see how long it takes them to rise. It's definitely gonna be at least an hour and a half though, even with how hot the apartment is. They just take a minute. It's been a little bit over an hour, and these guys are looking really nice. They're just looking puffy, fluffy, happy. They only took about an hour and a half. It is really, really warm in this apartment right now. We are in the beginning of August, and so like they just go faster. If you were seeing this video and trying to make them in January, do not expect them to rise in an hour to an hour and a half. You're definitely looking more at 2 or 3 hours. Sometimes in January, my buns take almost like 4 hours to proof. It's so annoying. But it's not January, and these guys are ready to go, so we love that. My oven has been preheating to 225 degrees Celsius. Also, have some egg wash here. It's just 2 beaten eggs and some brown sugar simple syrup. I am prepared for once. Shocking, I know. This brown sugar simple syrup is just equal parts brown sugar and water boiled together. Literally so simple. I also have some raw sugar that we're gonna sprinkle on top. We're gonna start with egg washing them. This is gonna give them a really nice color and a lovely shine. When they come out of the oven, we will brush with the simple syrup. This is gonna help hydrate the crispier parts of the bun and help them become even more soft and sticky and delicious. And then we're going to top with a little bit of raw sugar. This is unnecessary. You could just use a little bit of regular sugar. I don't think I would really suggest brown sugar because then I think it would be too intense of a flavor, but I just think that this is really fun and is definitely different than my usual spice sugar, regular sugar, pearl sugar. Like, I'm trying to mix it up here, you guys. But egg wash first. My oven can only take 1 tray at a time, so we're gonna egg wash a tray, throw it in the oven, and then do it 1 tray at a time instead of doing it all at once. Just FYI. Let's talk about what I did differently with these 2 trays. This one over here, I put in at 225. It was the first tray that I put in. The first 8 minutes, it was just straight into the oven. And then I felt like they weren't getting enough color even after 8 minutes. And I was like, okay, this isn't what it's supposed to be. So I put the fan on for the last 2 minutes and they went like, and got color. These ones I kept in the oven for I think 7 to 8 minutes, the fan going the whole time. And the butter has like burned a little bit on the edges, not so much on the inside. And let me check underneath. The buns themselves aren't burned at all, but the butter that's leaked out has burned, which obviously doesn't make the oven smell very good. There's also more of a discoloration on these than there is on these. These are a little bit more even in color. And then these 2 by themselves were in the oven, 225 degrees Celsius, full fan for I think like 6 minutes or something. But because they weren't touching, they cooked so fast on the outside, but not in the middle, but the butter still burned. So there is a reason I don't usually use fan, and there is a reason I usually bake at 400 degrees. Also, I didn't mention it at the beginning of this video, but like I have not tested these or made these before. We just like turned the camera on and I was like, let's vibe. We're gonna take a recipe I've made a million times and make a bunch of changes and just kind of see how it goes. So it's not like locked and loaded. Obviously, I think they turned out great for not being locked and loaded. I didn't make that many changes from my original, but I think this shape, this type of bake, all that kind of stuff still needs playing with. Wow, that's really nice. I'm so surprised by how much I pick up the flavor of buttermilk in these. It's not super strong. There's nothing sour about these, but it's definitely like there's an extra layer of flavor in this dough. Fantastic. I am pleased. I have things to work on, but I am pleased. Thank you guys so much for watching this week's video. I hope that you have a good day and that I'll see you around next week. Hej då!